All right, well, it's been a while since I've done one of these review videos, so I'm hopping right back into it with two new single barrels, which I'm really excited to talk about. These are our new Starlight Huber's Holiday single barrels, and as you can see, we've done a really cool pattern background on the front label. We've got a bourbon and a rye single barrel. Both of these come in at right under 5 years old, 4.5 to 5 years old. This one is Kelvin Cooperage number 3 char rye whiskey, bottled at cask strength at 118 proof. I'm going to dig into that in a second. And then the second one is the bourbon, which is number 1 char, long toast, 4 grain, which has got sort of that dusty, sort of a reminiscent of like an old Wild Turkey dusty, that kind of a flavor that I haven't tasted in a long time. So this one's really interesting as well. So I'm gonna just pop them open and start going. So these are actually to celebrate the opening of our sister store, Vine and Table's Bourbon World. So we've got our Bourbon World logo right on the bottom there, but you can get them online, you can get them at the Barrel Select Big Red Liquor stores, and you can get them at Bourbon World at Vine and Table. And so this is sort of the first of what I'm hoping is a series of Huber holiday barrels, because they have still some of the best options for new and creative whiskey that is of age, that has the pedigree and the flavor that we're looking for in a holiday barrel, which to me is all about how much spice can you pack in, because you really want to start picking up on those baking spices, those holiday spices, and that is what we have here in this rye whiskey. Big fruit, big spice right on the nose. Get the cinnamon, get that sort of rock candy essence. That's sort of like powdered, sort of the sort of powdered sugar that's left over at the bottom of like the rock candy bag. And kind of just, that's what we're getting here. All right, let's taste it. God, so good. 85% rye, 15% malted barley. If you want to taste something that is as spice driven as the 95% MGP that's not MGP, this is one that you've got to pick up. It's got that sort of pine spice to it. It's got that candy rye depth to it. The finish just keeps going on and on, but that sort of mid palate and right up front sweetness and spice is just fantastic. I really love this whiskey. Oh man. One more sip. Yeah. I mean, it's big. It's obviously cask strength, but it still sips so sweet, and the spice is there, but it's mild spice, it's mellow spice, it's really delicious. Okay, and that's $50. So $50 for a 4.5 year craft distilled, local Indiana, cask strength spice bomb is going to be one of the best secret hidden values we've had this year. And this is out in stores now, so you can like run and go grab this before it gets picked up, because this is one that you go, oh, there's a lot of Huber barrel picks out there, and that's true. There are a lot of Huber barrel picks, but I think this one is a standout. All right, so the pairing to our rye is our holiday bourbon. A little bit lower proof. This is 114.6. Again, 4.5 years old. And this is their 4 grain. and this is in a number 1 char. So this is in a barely, just barely charred. This one's got one of the most interesting fruit noses of a bourbon. It definitely has like that dustiness. It has the kind of almost has sort of like a cognac-esque, that sort of rancio, that there's kind of a raisiny flavor to it. You know what it is? I think it's like an Armagnac. It's like a little more robust than a cognac. Really nice, sort of that grape and fruit and raisin-driven fruit character. Again, perfect. I mean, these are just perfect holiday whiskeys. They just have that aroma. They have that flavor. They're just built for it. Okay. Oh my God. Massive, like, raisin fruit, Armagnac, cognac. It's really got that mid-palate, just big, bourbon, bold, fruit-driven. It's chewy. It's just great. You know, the Hubers, all their bourbons, all their ryes, they're all a little bit different. So when you do a barrel pick, you really have to get after it there, because you're not gonna, you're not gonna say, oh, that's the Huber rye profile. They don't really have a distillery profile. Their whiskeys are all so different. That's why it's great to have Huber barrel picks, because it's not like they could be totally different, made made right next to each other the day after, and be different. And that's just how they're choosing to do it. They may not do that way forever, but that's how they've sort of built their business, through these barrel picks, and that's why it's so fun to do, and why it's so great to have these. So anyway, those are our Bourbon World Big Red Holiday Starlight single barrel whiskey picks. These are in stores right now. You can buy these right now, and they are really, truly delicious. And I gotta say, I'm a huge rye whiskey fan. I probably drink more rye whiskey now than I do drink bourbon. And I love the 95% MGP. I love the 51% MGP rye. I actually love all 3 of the very unique MGP rye recipes. And I'm always looking for something that is just as much rye spice forward that's not MGP, just to try something different. And this one fits the bill perfectly, and actually I think way overachieves for the age and the price and the pedigree. And that's always a great thing, when you're still getting even this crazy popular category, bourbon and rye, that have exploded in recent years. You could still find values that absolutely over deliver for what they are, how they're made, and who's making them. And the proof's in the pudding, and this is a very good holiday pudding. This one is also delicious. If you're exclusively a bourbon person, grab this. But I would suggest that you try them both, because they're both very different and very good in their own ways. So anyway, that's what I got. Cheers.